Hi, Carissa. I am taking a look at your project. It's really good. So this is a great first draft. Everything that you have here in they describe the Ancestor. You don't have to change any of it. What you let's see, and then here, which is the validate the influence, it's fine. Don't change any of it. What you're going to need to work on will be the analysis section, so identify and analyze the connections. Break these things up. You've got 2 slides. Make sure you're only looking at one thing per slide. And try to organize it where it's a little easier for your audience to follow along. Also, make sure that the analysis is complete, which means what you do is okay, so the analysis tends to have 3 steps, right? You identify the connection, you explain the connection, so you prove that that connection is real, and then you analyze how and why Mary Shelley used it. You're doing steps 1 and 2, but not step 3, which actually a lot of the other projects I'm seeing are only doing step 1. So you've gotten way beyond what, where a lot of the first drafts are, so that's excellent. Now you just need to do that last step about how and why is Mary Shelley using these, like, the elements of Prometheus in her narrative. So with the connections, go ahead and just start with, because when you first start talking, you say one major connection between the story of Prometheus and Frankenstein is the underlying theme. So that's great. I love the fact that you have this like topic sentence, so your audience can follow that, and I think that's fabulous. So what is the theme, though? Is the underlying theme of what? And then you say, in both stories, the protagonist goes against the gods or natural order, and as a result, there are major consequences. Okay, I agree. The one part that seems to be confusing and doesn't quite go with it is when you start talking about Victor tricking the monster. I don't see how that's going against the natural order of things. Like, so that seems to sort of like take you, it's like a red herring, right? It's sort of distracting. I would take that out, because in the story of Prometheus, Prometheus is tricking, unless what you're saying is like later the creature becomes more powerful, and so then he has to trick that. And that's fine, but that's a whole nother discussion, a whole nother slide, and a lot of explanation. When you go to another connection between the myth and the novel is the basic storyline. So that needs to be its own slide. I would try to take some quotes from the novel if possible, to help support what it is that you're saying. At one point, Victor says what it's feels like to be a god and stuff, or whatever. Okay, and then you talk about the spark of life. Okay, so some things to kind of help. You have that he goes against the natural order, right? That he like he defies the gods, right? So like in some ways, so Victor's doing that, right, by saying I'm going to create life without the way that life is normally created, and then there are consequences. I think you need to talk about those consequences. You might want to flip it and start with the first connection is the basic storyline of a protagonist creating something, and then because I mean these things kind of go together. I'm not sure if it's so if it's being punished for defying the natural order of things is a theme. That's fine. Make that the next slide. I would start with, it starts with creation, right? It's this creation of life, and you say that Victor, let's see, you say the story revolves around a protagonist who creates a being, humans or the monster, and be careful because is the creature a monster? And he is made of human parts, so isn't he human? I guess. That's a question. It's the idea of this. So anyway, think about some of those things. But so maybe start with the idea of creation, right? And then the idea of defying the gods. So then for Victor, so that would be another side, right? So then it'd be Victor defying the natural order of things, and then like Prometheus defied Zeus. And then the consequences of that. So we have, and you do at one point mention that, right? There's consequences to both the creator and the creations. And so what are they? What are the consequences to Prometheus and to his creations? Because you talk about Pandora, right? So, you know, Victor gets punished because he loses everybody he loves, and then people get punished, like the people he loves get punished, right? So that's the, they get punished by the creation, right? So, and and his creation is also punished by society. I mean, there's all this bad punishment stuff kind of happening. Something that I really think needs to be addressed in here is the fact that you're talking about these connections. So there's obvious connections. And I would start with talking about the fact that the title is Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus. You know, and so that, bring that in some more. And something else that really can't be overlooked is the fact that Victor gets punished by his creation, right, for not taking care of his creation. And humans get punished because he didn't take care of his creation, right? He did not take responsibility for it. Because if he had taken responsibility for it, then the creature would not have ended up the way he did, and the creature would not have been killing these humans who are people that Victor cares about. Whereas Prometheus gets punished because, and his creation, like, and human beings get punished because he did take care of them, right? Because of the things he did to take care of them. He was deceptive in order to take care of them. He defied things to take care of them. Whereas Victor, all the punishment happens because he doesn't take care of them. He doesn't take care of his creation. He does nothing to take care of it. So that is a complete opposite, right? And so at some point that really needs to be talked about in at least one slide in your project. And then why? Like, why would Mary Shelley have it be the opposite? Why wasn't he being punished for taking care of it? Like, why did she have it end up being that way? So it's you do a great job, like I said, identifying connections and then explaining how they are related. But now you need to talk about how and why Mary Shelley uses them. So there's a video in the announcements where I go over all of that as far as like things that students are running into in the drafting process of this project, and how thoroughly to do the analysis is one of them. So make sure you watch that. Go over the resources. Maybe take a look at the sample one that's in the learning materials. And if you're going to do that, make sure you download it so you can see the notes and everything. If you have questions about this video, about any of the resources that I have provided for you, please let me know. If you need any additional assistance from me, just get a hold of me.